The realization doesn't always arrive with a single punch. Sometimes it comes slowly, round after round, when the body starts reacting before the mind is ready to accept what's happening. When Jake Paul stepped into sparring sessions with elite heavyweights, the first sign wasn't confidence or growth, it was damage. A swollen right eye. Bruising that lingered longer than usual. Marks that told a story his words didn't need to explain. Getting hit in the right eye, especially by orthodox fighters, usually means one thing. The jab is landing clean. The distance is wrong. The timing is off. And against men who have lived their entire careers mastering those fundamentals, those small mistakes become loud alarms. That moment, when Jake felt that jab over and over again, was likely the first true dawn of realization that this wasn't influencer boxing anymore. This was real. This was happening now. For the first time in his career, Jake Paul wasn't the bigger name in the room. He wasn't sparring carefully selected opponents designed to sharpen his strengths while hiding his flaws. He was in the ring with men like Lawrence Oakley, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson, fighters whose entire existence in boxing revolves around power, control, and punishment. These are not guys who need to be famous. They need to be effective. They don't spar to entertain. They spar to break habits, expose weaknesses, and dominate space. And every visible bruise Jake showed afterward hinted at just how violent that education had become. There's an uncomfortable truth here that even Jake's biggest supporters can't ignore. Faces don't always tell the full story of a sparring session, but they do tell part of it. You can win rounds and still get marked up, but when those marks keep appearing week after week against different heavyweights, it stops being coincidence. It becomes pattern. And the pattern suggests that Jake has been getting hit often, cleanly, and by men who aren't even Anthony Joshua. That alone should send chills down anyone's spine who understands boxing at the highest level. The past few weeks appear to have been deeply humbling. Jake Paul, who once controlled every variable around his fights, suddenly found himself reacting instead of dictating. Sparring with Oakley, Anderson, and Sanchez isn't about surviving a few tough rounds. It's about learning how little margin for error exists when you're sharing the ring with world-class heavyweights. These men are bigger. They understand range in ways that can't be taught quickly. The jabs aren't just punches, they're measuring tools, weapons that control where you stand, when you move, and whether you're allowed to breathe. That right eye swelling wasn't just a bruise. It was a message. It said that Jake's defense, particularly against long, disciplined lead hands, is vulnerable. And when you zoom out and look at Anthony Joshua, the implications become even more frightening. Joshua's jab is not theoretical. It's one of the most refined and punishing lead hands in heavyweight boxing. He uses it to set traps, close distance, and line up the kind of shots that end fights suddenly. If Jake is already struggling with similar patterns in sparring, the leap from gym warfare to fight night reality becomes massive. There's a psychological layer here too that shouldn't be ignored. For years, Jake Paul has thrived on belief. Belief in himself, belief in his preparation, belief that he could bend the sport around his ambition. But belief starts to crack when the body keeps failing the test. When you walk back to your corner after sparring and your vision is compromised, when your nose is reshaped by punches that weren't meant to finish you, something changes internally. Confidence becomes calculation. Hype turns into survival instinct. And yet, there's something strangely human about this phase of Jake's journey. For all the criticism he receives, stepping into these sparring sessions takes real courage. He could have stayed protected. He could have kept the illusion intact. Instead, he chose to bring in men who could hurt him badly, knowing full well what the risks were. That decision alone suggests that on some level, Jake understands the danger. He knows Anthony Joshua isn't a storyline. He's a problem with fists. The question now isn't whether Jake Paul is working hard. That's no longer up for debate. The question is whether hard work can bridge a gap this wide. Joshua isn't just powerful. He's experienced under pressure. He understands pacing, feints, setups, and most importantly, how to punish mistakes without overextending himself. This isn't about one big punch. It's about sustained threat. The kind that forces panic. The kind that drains energy even when it doesn't land clean. Some argue that this kind of sparring is exactly what Jake needs. Get hit in camp so you don't get hit in the fight. Learn the rhythm now so it doesn't shock you later. There's truth in that logic, but it has limits. You can't fully simulate fight night danger. You can't replicate the adrenaline, the crowd, the stakes, or the fact that the man across from you is trying to end you for real. Sparring teaches lessons, but it doesn't erase physics. And physics favors Anthony Joshua heavily. There's also the uncomfortable comparison to previous moments in Jake's career. We've seen him struggle against fighters far less dangerous than Joshua. We've seen him pushed to the brink, forced into awkward exchanges, and tested mentally. Those moments were warning signs, not flukes. And now, with heavyweights repeatedly landing shots in training, those warning signs are flashing brighter than ever. Still, there's a strange respect that even critics are starting to admit. Jake Paul didn't have to do this. He could have stayed in safer lanes. Instead, he chose the most dangerous path available. And while many believe this ends in a knockout, possibly early, there's something undeniably historic about watching someone attempt something this reckless and this ambitious at the same time. For Joshua, this fight is different. There's no fear factor, no psychological chess match, no uncertainty about the opponent's pedigree. He knows exactly who Jake Paul is and exactly what he brings. That clarity makes Joshua even more dangerous. A relaxed heavyweight with knockout power is a terrifying thing. As the fight approaches, one reality becomes unavoidable. This is no longer a spectacle built purely on hype. It's a collision between belief and reality, between ambition and experience. Jake Paul is learning that lesson in sparring, one bruise at a time. Whether that lesson prepares him or simply delays the inevitable is something only Fight Night will answer. Now it's your turn. Do you think Jake Paul's brutal sparring sessions will harden him enough to survive against Anthony Joshua, or are they proof that this fight is a step too far? Does lasting a few rounds count as a victory, or is anything short of an upset meaningless? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want more deep, story-driven breakdowns like this,